Hello, everybody, and welcome to the finals of the Premodern Showdown Series 3. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined tonight by Flint Espel. Say hi, Flint.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so we had a week off, so we had to do a little last minute changes because of scheduling issues with our finalists. Kind of coincidentally, both of them had scheduling issues on Thursday, so we pushed it back a few days. So we're now on the Tuesday, but we are ready to conclude our series and crown a new champion for the Pre-Modern Showdown series. Are you ready, Flint?
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm so ready.
All right. So a little thing that we're doing differently. So with the semifinals, we did a best of five match between our semifinalists. We are going to do best of three matches. So that's pretty normal to our series. The thing that's different is we're going to do best of three matches. So the first player to win two matches is going to be the champion. So we're going to start with a normal ban. That deck will not be able to be brought. Then they're going to play a first match by bringing a deck. They're not going to know exactly what their opponent is going to be bringing. So, and then they're going to play. That match will conclude. There'll be a winner of that match. They'll play a second match with the other non-ban deck. And then if the matches are split, so if James wins one and Jared wins one, then they use the ban decks to play a third and final match to determine the winner. So we have the potential of nine matches or nine games of Magic, and I guess it could be as few as four. So let's go over to our band screen, and because we did have bands as normal, and so James three's decks are the Blue Black Stiflenought, the five color Sligh, and the Star Spangled Slaughter deck, while Jared has Goblins, Draco Blast, and five color Terrageddon. So Jared had said no to the Star Spangled Slaughter, while James had said no to Goblins. I believe that's what they played when they played in the regular season was Star
Yeah,
Spangled Slaughter against Goblins. So
it
that's
was.
funny. So all right, Flint, you need to make. I guess this will be a final prediction because the other two potential matches are scripted. Then, so what is James going to bring and what is Jared going to bring?
Oh man, this is really interesting. I think that James is going to play Sly and Jared's going to play Terrageddon.
Okay, so let's jump down to our decks. And we will see that James has chosen to go with his trusty five color Sligh deck. I feel like maybe it's just recency bias, but I feel like the last few matches James has really leaned on this deck. And I mean, to be fair, he's had a lot of success, though he's had a lot of success with all his decks since I think he only lost one match. So he's going with the five color Sligh deck. What this deck does is has pressure with the red cards of Jackal Pup, Ball Lightning, Grim Lavamancer. That's pretty normal. And then some burn spells like Lightning Bolt and Incinerate. The package that's different is Enlighten Tutor, and that ties it together to find cards like a main deck Engineered Plague, the Sulfuric Vortex, the Sylvan Library, a Standstill, a Seal of Cleansing. So different situations where it can find these silver bullets to shore up the weaknesses of Sligh and really like fill out its weaknesses. So really cool main deck, and then also the sideboard. It just has all these cards that really kind of change the dynamic of the deck, where it is basically I'm going to answer what you're doing while applying some light pressure, and eventually I'll find a way to win the game. And so far, it's been really successful with that plan, and I've been really impressed with this deck. So, do you want to say anything before we jump over to Jared's deck, Flint?
Nope, let's jump over.
Okay, and Jared will be playing the Draco Blast deck. So, we saw Jared pilot this last week in the semifinals against John Gradzina, and he has elected to play it again. So the black-red mid-range deck has a lot of mid-ranging elements in the sense that they can play a controlling game if they need to. The removal spells with like Bolt, Grim Lavamancer, or Terminate can control the board. Or if you need to be aggressive, you can turbo out Hypnotic Spectre or Phyrexian Arena and then kind of get to work. But then the other element is the Insidious Dreams package, and you can find your spot. If you're able to cast Insidious Dreams, you can set up Erratic Explosion and Draco to deal a clean, quick 16 damage to any target, which most of the time will be your opponent if that's the position that he's in.
Mike, before you jump over, were you surprised by this? He went with this deck? Like, what if James just runs blue-black Stiflenought? Can Draco Blast beat that deck?
Yes, I think the sideboarded games are is probably where it leans a little bit, but I mean, I think maybe it's a little bit of a gamble, but I mean, if I mean, it could easily be the other way around. Like if he picks Terrageddon, like I guess it's a leveling game. We'll have to talk to the players of how
Yeah, yeah,
they
fair
led to
enough,
the
fair
decision.
enough.
But I mean,
Okay.
like if if he's bringing this deck, if it's like a 50-50 chance of what he's playing against. So if
Yeah.
he's not bringing it out, then like maybe he's thinking he's playing Stifle Not right away. So maybe that's what Jared was thinking, that is James is bringing Sligh. I don't know. But let's jump to the key cards of the match. So for this first match, we have some red cards. Obviously, that's coming out of the Sligh deck. So Ball Lightning is a card that's just a big chunk of damage. It's the most damage per card in James's deck, with potential 6 damage if it gets through. And I think that's what he's looking, because I think he has to be the aggressor in this matchup. His controlling elements don't really disrupt Jared that well. And if the game goes on too long, he might find himself dying to the combo. So Grim Lavamancer is the other element where it really plays both roles really well for James. Like if he needs to get rid of a Hypnotic Spectre, Grim Lavamancer is a great card to do that. But then also just a recurring source of damage if he needs to be aggressive. I think Grim Lavamancer fills the role quite nicely for James. From Jared's point of view, Insidious Dreams is really pulling a lot of weight, just because James does tend to take a decent amount of damage from his lands, whether he's fetching a little bit or using City of Brass. It doesn't take too much. Like James himself might get him down to 16 by himself, but then also Jared obviously can chip in for a little bit of damage. But and James' Sligh deck is a little bit slower than the traditional Sligh deck, so Insidious Dreams I think will come into play for Jared. And then Lightning Bolt is a card that just kind of fits all roles. It's a great answer to an attacking Ball Lightning. It can remove like Grim Lavamancer, but then also it just might just be the card he needs just to put James from 19 down to 16, and then Insidious Dreams. So that's why I have Lightning Bolt up there. All right, Flint, are you ready to jump down to the match? Okay, tell the players that they're ready. We are gonna get started. So here we go with our finals match of the Premodern Showdown Series. We have James on the left with the 5-color Sligh, Jared on the right with a Draco Blast. James is the higher seed. He did choose to play first. He had that option. And it looks like Jared is mulliganing to 6 with the Draco Blast deck. All right, Flint. So do you like either deck in this position? Do you think one is advantaged over the other? Or do you think it's just pretty much a coin flip?
I think Jared's advantaged in game one,
Yeah,
potentially.
I think in terms of if you're just talking about like the lottery in terms of the guessing games, I think Jared's going to end up being pretty happy with how this turned out of the matchups, the 2 matchups he got. So I think I think the Sligh deck with the 5-color element is a little bit slower, and I think the erratic explosion Draco combo will shine if I'm correct, which I'm not always correct. All right, I guess I do want to mention that we do have a giveaway going on tonight. I had mentioned this on some of the social medias, but I if you type, and if I do this right, if you type !card sphere, then you'll be put into the pool to be selected for a $50 drawing. So we're gonna pick the winner after this first match. So if you want to get in that, all you gotta do !card sphere. All right, what do we have starting off with these players, Flint? Where are we at?
So we had Jared ritual out an arena, very nice card advantage, but James is able to. He actually had the Seal of Cleansing to put a stop to that nonsense. Interestingly enough, Jared only has the 1 land in play, and it's James with the Lavamancer out in front in this game.
Okay. Well, I know like in the typical Sligh matchup, Phyrexian Arena is kind of a dangerous card just because your life total is under so much pressure so quickly, so often. But I know, as I talked about, that James's deck is a little bit slower. That I don't know if Jared was thinking that maybe this is a card that I'm going to lean on and get the card advantage and play the control route. Well, Jared, this is Jared's second turn, so he hasn't missed a land drop.
That's true because
So
James is on the play. My bad.
all right, so I guess I guess he wasn't necessarily leaning on that arena as much as maybe I thought. So we have gifted subs from Manabirds 802. So thank you for the gifted subs to
Awesome.
R3I and FF Flurry. So thank you for that support. We appreciate it. All right. So Jared is down to 15 thanks to a fire and a lightning bolt.
James contemplates an attack and then says, "You know what? I'll just pass the turn."
Yeah, the Grim Lavamancer math is always tricky because you kind of have to look ahead and say, how am I going to use my mana? How many turns is this game going to go? Are blockers going to come into play? Would removal come into play? So there's actually a lot of elements that can impact a decision of using a Grim Lavamancer as compared to just attacking with it. So the land that Jared has is a Volras Stronghold. And this was a card that had been added to this list as a way to prevent if you do end up drawing the one copy of Draco, that you have a way to discard it and then put it back on top of your library. And I think the original versions use Scroll Rack, but Volras Stronghold is a land, so you're not using another card in your deck for that ability. All right, Ball Lightning, big chunk of damage with the Grim Lavamancer coming in for 7. So Jared's down to 6.
6. Yeah, there was an activation of Lavamancer at the end of the last turn.
Yeah. When Jared's putting back Lavamancer, so okay, and then he's got a Hypnotic Spectre. So he's kind of putting up a wall in sense of the creatures. How many cards does James have in hand? I guess that kind of makes me feel more or less worried for Jared if James has still a bunch of cards. And then meanwhile, we do have a subscription from Ottawa Old School. Thank you for the 2 months.
Welcome. Thank you. Another fire here from James, which is pretty good to take out that Lavamancer. And of course, he's got the mana open for his own activation, but he's got at least one card in his hand that we can see.
Yeah, and the fire gets the split, so you even get to deal a point of damage to Jared. So Jared's putting the Lavamancer back on top again during his upkeep. Okay. I guess that has to mean that his card in his hand is not very impressive.
Right. So James wants to keep that last card in his hand. He shoots the Spectre.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think. I mean, like, he's got how many cards? 3 cards in his graveyard. I guess he's worried about. Well, I guess that's a good reason to keep that card in your hand. So there you go. So Incinerate plus a Grim Lavamancer activation will be enough to take down Jared for the first game. So I guess I kind of maybe overplayed off how this 5-color Sligh deck was slower. Jared seemed to die pretty quickly that game.
Mm-hmm. But it's sideboard time, ladies and gentlemen. So what are we working with here, Mike?
All right, let's jump over to the decks. I guess I'll do a quick reminder about the giveaway. If people are just joining, you will need to type in !card sphere to be entered, which we will be giving away sometime after this first match. All right, so the 5-color Sligh deck. I mean, there's not really anything that is that appealing for the sideboard here. I mean, maybe like Seal Cleansing is a card that's a little bit better than some main deck card because it hits Arena and Masticore. But I'm not very excited about any of these sideboard cards. Are you?
Not particularly, no.
which I think is like the first time that I think I've said, like, a lot of times, like when the 5-color Sligh deck has played, the sideboard has just been a pivotal thing. Oh, chat is reminding me to put up a poll. I guess since we're doing this best of 3, and even though we're down a game, I will do the poll. All right, who will win? Who will win? All right, you got 2 minutes, chat. I have now put the poll up. All right.
Who's going to take the whole thing down?
Yes. All right. So from Jared's list, Overloads, those only hit Mox Diamonds, as I can remember. Dystopia's not any good. Negator, I don't think you want to bring in. So again, kind of like the sideboards don't seem like they're that big of role players in this matchup. Is there anything that's appealing out of the sideboard for you?
I mean, I'm just trying to think, like, James is so slim on win conditions. Like, is it worth bringing in at least one plague and just naming elemental or something along those lines?
What card are you interested in cutting?
Cards?
I guess.
I don't know.
Because I do think the combo is important. Like, I mean, you could make an argument of like cutting Phyrexian Arena, that you just don't want to take extra damage. I could see swapping those out for Engineered Plague. I wouldn't fault anyone for that idea. I think that's a reasonable take. But I guess the problem is if you ever have to take a card like Grim Lavamancer out, that obviously that impacts your own.
Yeah.
But yeah, just shutting off Elemental and having Ball Lightning be delayed or shut out is pretty good, I think. All right, I guess I do have some get to know the players slides. So I did update these for all the players. So if we do have time in between games, we will get to see all the players, even the ones that aren't in the finals. But we are going to start off with our 2 finalists. So we asked our contestants which standard era was the golden age of Magic, and James went when standard was Type 2. He said. And then he said either Urza Saga or Odyssey, which those seem very different to me. Urza Saga, like, I guess, I mean, obviously had a lot of broken stuff going on. And
oh, yeah.
I mean, Odyssey, I guess, had, like, I just think of it as a 3-deck format. It was, I guess, Odyssey standard. I think of, like, red-green, obviously Tog, and then blue-green Madness. But Odyssey block was a little bit different. But anyways. Most underrated pre-modern card, he said, was Lightning Rift, which is an interesting take because definitely that card is not played very often. But I wonder if you can kind of fit it into some kind of shell where you're not like totally abusing it, but just getting a little bit of value out of it. He says the most overrated pre-modern card is Flame Rift. So apparently rifts were on his mind when he was answering this. We asked the players, how did you pick your 3 decks for the PSS? And James said, based on his experience, and he picked decks that had ample amount of green man hate, referring to decks that
Goblins, right?
Yeah, they're little green little men. The elves, the decks that could beat elves. He said his favorite pizza topping is pepperoni. That's one thing. Like when you're a kid, like that's like the de facto answer when you're a child, but I feel like definitely your taste buds change when you're older, but pepperoni I feel like still is just as good as when I was little.
It's so good. I love all kinds of pizzas, but pepperoni is just so good.
Yeah. The flavor, the little bit of spice is just so good. We have Jared mulliganing. It looks like James is keeping his 7. So I'm keeping an eye on that, and we'll jump back to the match once Jared settles on his opening hand. James says his favorite superhero is Batman. What do you think about Batman?
I'm a big fan. No superpowers, just a lot of money and very high IQ.
That's a lot of hard work. Oh wait, no, just a lot of money. So
a lot of money and a very high IQ. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna jump down. Jared is putting his 2nd card back, so he's mulliganing to 5. And we are off. Jared is starting things off with a fetch land to find a swamp, a dark ritual, and then has a Hypnotic Spectre.
Seems like a decent start.
Yeah, it's got to stay in play, but I guess it's really only lightning bolt is like the only like there's no shocks or I guess there's one seal of fire.
Yeah, it's that or it's Mox Diamond.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, okay.
well, okay.
We do see a Mox Diamond discarding a gemstone mine, so this could be fire, it could be incinerate. James will go to 70. He's just casting a Grim Lavamancer, so interesting. So it looks like he doesn't have the burn spell available, unless I guess
Or
yeah,
does he?
yeah. I guess there's no real reason to do it right away. So all right, Hypnotic Spectre attacks. There is a lightning bolt, so down goes the Spectre. James will protect his hand, and Jared, I probably was really, really holding on for that Hypnotic Spectre to connect because I mean, when you mulligan to 5 on the play and you spend 2 cards to get that Hypnotic Spectre out because of Dark Ritual, things look a little more grim, I would say. All right, there's a Mesmeric Fiend, so this is kind of just a speed bump, I guess, given that we have a
Oh
Grim
my God.
Lavamancer that's online. So a pretty good hand from the situation. There's Fire Ice and Ball Lightning. So Ball Lightning is it's suspended. That's pretty much what it is. There's a Fire Ice is going to take this Mesmeric Fiend down, or I
And
guess it
timeout.
could be a Grim Lavamancer activation, I guess. But I think this Ball Lightning still might be coming at Jared soon. All right.
So 3 here for Jared. He's just got that last card in his hand, right? Is it another Spectre? Oh, it's Plague.
Okay. You
Does he
name
name
it.
Elemental here?
I think you save more life by doing that. I mean, James has to respond because there's the potential of naming human or wizard to get Grim Lavamancer. So if Jared got priority to name the creature type, then James would not be able to respond. So,
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, he shoots Jared instead of the. Oh, he's got the Fire Ice, I guess.
yep,
Whatevs.
yep.
So he's gonna get the full 2 to Jared. Yeah. So Lava Man's still in play, so it's got to be Elemental, right?
Yep, unless you're naming like Goblin or something, but taking out those mod
Could be
fanatics.
Beast.
Yeah,
Could be Construct.
yeah.
What's the Brushwag creature type? Is it just Brushwag?
It's probably Brushwag. I mean, at least the version that I'm going to bring up. I don't even.
Maybe he named Brushwag.
Is that from Weatherlight or is it Mirage or Mirage? Summon
I think
Brushwag.
it's Mirage.
What is a group of Brushwags? That's what chat. That's what we need to decide.
Figure that out. A tumble?
I do like that. It looks like. Does it just say Ball Light on there? Is it that the creature type Ball Light on the Engineered Plague? All right, Mog Fanatic has joined. We know Goblins is not a swag,
A shrubbery.
shrubbery,
Nice.
a waggle. These are all good. I do like this. We got Duress
Duress.
being cast, so it's it's just a peak. Well, peak with no card draw. So Mountain and then Ball Lightning. I mean, it's not like Duress is really going to get any better. A Hedge, okay. A Thorn. Lots of differentiating opinions, but I do like all of them. So maybe this is our next pre-modern poll.
Yes. We got to figure this out. Put the game on hold. Let's get on Facebook and figure it out. A garden town sounds too tidy for a brushwag. Be more like an overgrowth or something. So Mog Fanatic getting in there and beating Jared down to 14.
And James is at a comfortable 19. So I guess for Jared, I think the easiest way for Jared to win this is drawing a bolt, drawing Insidious Dreams, having 2 cards in hand, also having 4 mana, and then just kind of comboing out. So it's kind of up to James to apply some pressure to reduce the number of draws that Jared can do that.
Yep. And James looks like he only has 2 cards to work with in the yard for Lavamancer.
Yeah, he does have the option at some point, like he could still cast the ball lightning just to put it in the graveyard. I think that's probably unlikely because there's probably like a card like Seal Cleansing still in the deck. But
Yeah. I gotta imagine he kept at least a seal in the deck.
yeah,
We do see everybody's favorite pup.
and I guess Mishra's Factory is kind of interesting because, especially if that Grim Lavamancer is not online, even though it is
Right.
right now, that might be able to prevent James from attacking with his creatures. But
What's preventing? Yeah, 100%.
I guess if Jared had like a bolt, that would be kind of nice. Bolt
Or
the
terminate.
Yep, get rid of the Grim Lavamancer and then activate the Mishra's Factory. But looks like that's not the card since Jared's taking 3. 10 to
So
19.
he's drawn 3 here, and he's played a land, and now he's got 2 unknowns in his hand. So let's see what he's got. Has he got a duress here?
I mean, I don't think Duress really even like does anything anymore. Like, I guess if he had 2 burn spells, I feel like he could cast most of them.
Ooh, there's the tutor.
This must be at end of turn. I mean, what card is James getting?
Standstill.
That's what I thought. I
Is
mean,
that or Sail Cleansing? Oh, it's a
first,
scroll. Even
first scroll.
better.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Here is another situation where he might want to just cast his ball ending to
Yeah.
get it out of his hand. But first scroll is the choice.
I wonder if Jared brought in Artifact Hate. I mean, it obviously hits diamonds, which is really good.
Well, I wonder, like, I mean, if we do end up in a game 3, if you take out a card like Duress and just bring in a card like Overload, uh, or just, I guess, if you're shaving all the arenas or something, it's a strategy.
So we can't really see James's graveyard, but he has a land and a Enlightened Tutor in it that he can remove, correct?
This thing is the light and light 2 that he just had. I don't know. I thought he only had 2 beforehand, but
It looks like, oh, is that just a gemstone mine off to the side that he played?
okay. Well, Jared does have a lightning bolt, so he'll take a damage to go to a 7. I'm guessing he's bolting the Lavamancer here. So I guess if, well, James must not have a second card in his graveyard right now. Otherwise, I don't feel like this decision is very difficult. Like he might be thinking if he has to sacrifice the Mog Fanatic and then use the Grim Lavamancer, or I guess maybe if he's casting a certain spell in his hand. So he is firing right now, or is he icing?
Oh,
He might be icing just the Mishra's Factory.
is this during his attack step?
So Jared wanted to do the bolt before he activated his Mishra's Factory, so he could, in theory, like if James did nothing, then he'd be able to activate the factory and then block the Jackal
Okay.
Pup and pump it.
Yeah. Just making sure I was in the right stage of the game. So yeah, so he does tap the factory.
Yeah, it looks like ice was cast.
He's
So
gonna shoot Jared down to 5.
yeah, this is
This is just game, right? Well, not quite, but close.
Jared effectively goes to 1 because he'll take 3, go to 2, and
2.
there is a Mog Fanatic in play. Yeah, scrolls in hand, so unless Jared, yeah,
All right.
and Jared packs it up. So yep, not enough
Okay.
from the Draco Blast deck. So match 1 goes to James. So he is up a match, and I don't know how much time our players need. Like, I don't know if there's any overlap between their decks that they need to swap things
Oh
out.
yeah,
But
have to move some cards around.
yeah, but I guess we will. Let's talk about the decks, and then if we do have extra time, other do get to know. I guess we can see them sideboarding. It looked like Engineered Plague and Standstill came out, and 2 Seal Cleansing came in for James. I didn't quite see for Jared, but all right. So we have match number 2. I will jump over to the decks. So this means that the Stiflenought deck for James is what's available to him now. And I like this deck. Just to me, it feels like a
Let me tell you
legacy. It
something.
feels like a legacy deck.
I like this deck.
That is the one thing. It just seems so streamlined and powerful. I'm not saying it can't lose, but it does one thing and it does it really well. It finds
Yeah.
Dreadnought with Stifle or Vision Charm pretty quickly. It disrupts your opponent just enough, and then has like the combination of just being able to tap out and cast a card like Foil to get rid of or to counter a Swords of Plowshares. And Dreadnought just kills so quickly that a lot of times the opponent doesn't have very many turns to find another answer. So yeah, I like this deck, and super powerful. I know James has liked it. He's won a monthly with it, and
Yeah.
definitely can win games against pretty much any match.
So, so I am J-Man in chat says, do you think this is the best version of Stiflenought? I do. I think this is my favorite. I think it's the most powerful, but I wonder what you think.
I have not played with or against Stiflenought for a while, but it is, I think, my favorite version. The time I played the Esper version, I just got in situations where I just got like disrupted, and there were just points where I like had no outs. Like they had like a Hypnotic Spectre and I had like 1 card in hand. I'm like, I just can't get out of this position. I'm never going to get to the point where I have 2 cards in hand to get the combo. Where this deck does have that option. I do like this one the most. So I don't know for sure if it's the most powerful, but it's my favorite. I'll put
Cool.
it that way. So that leaves Jared with the 5-color Terrageddon deck. So I know Jared hasn't been quite as happy with this list. I know, like when he had submitted it initially, I think he was higher in the deck than how it's been performing lately. I know he said on the most recent pre-modcast, it just feels like it takes a little bit to set up, which could be a problem in this matchup, given that the blue-black Stiflenought deck can come out swinging very quickly. But what it looks to do is kind of set up shop with land tax and scroll rack, and then have the option to blow up all the lands with Armageddon. But it can just kind of take its time and find the pieces with that engine in terms of you're getting extra basic lands, you're putting them back with scroll rack, you're finding more cards every turn, you're getting card advantage that way. So it is a powerful engine, does take some time to set up. But
I mean, if Jared just plays a turn 1 meddling mage or turn 2 and James doesn't answer it and he names Dreadnought, James only has 1 out in his entire deck.
yes,
So
in the game 1,
pretty
that
good.
is what it's going to revolve around. So I guess we can move over to the key cards. So for that reason, I have Boomerang as a key card for James. It is his only out to a resolved meddling mage in game 1. And so if Jared's able to sneak that in play, then James is definitely going to be digging for a Boomerang. And then kind of the smothers out of the sideboard, just because so much depends on this meddling mage, I think is pretty important for James, because otherwise he's not going to be doing very much if this meddling mage stays in play. So from Jared's point of view, obviously the meddling mage, very powerful, because the deck is so focused on getting a Dreadnought in play. It doesn't have that many outs once that resolves. And then Swords of Plowshares is a nice clean answer to the Dreadnought, and you get card advantage, natural card advantage if it resolves and gets your target that you want, because James will ever have to put 2 cards to commit a Dreadnought to the board. All right, I think our players are waiting to start. So because Jared had lost the first match, oh no, I need to update this avatar from John making his finals appearance, but it's going to be brief. All right, we got James's avatar back there, and I'll reset the life totals. And the match score. That seems important. But Jared does get to choose to go first because he lost that match. So if Jared does take down this match, then James will get to be on the play if he so chooses for the last match. The ghost of Grudzina's passed. So. All right.
So Jared just plays a flooded strand and passes. James kind of pausing there for a moment, thinking about how to sequence his plays.
So that means there's no land tax, which is something that Jared a lot of times looks for.
Probably got a tutor.
Yeah, I guess it also just makes me think maybe there's a meddling mage, but
or he kept a hand with meddling mage swords or some combination.
That's true.
But
all right, we do have an Elaine tutor, and it does resolve. There's no days coming for that one.
I mean, the good thing about the Stiflenought deck is it doesn't need a whole lot of mana to do what it needs to do. So Jared really needs to rely on Mox Diamond, I think, if this game's going to go long and he wants to set up a position where he can really take advantage of Tax Rack. I mean, I guess he really just wants to survive the first 4 or 5 turns. I think if he can do that, he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, chat brings up that Jared was not playing around Stifle in the sense of that he could have had his fetch land stifled for that position. It could be a conscious decision that like maybe Jared is baiting James to use that stifle. He has extra lands in his hand, but yeah, it could just be something that he wasn't considering because typically the Stiflenought decks are using the stifle on their dreadnoughts and not on their opponent's fetch lands. So James uses his land to get a swamp, so could be a duress in the future.
Mesmeric Fiend? Oh, he's already tapped the swamp.
There is a duress. Okay. We see an Armageddon, a Werebear, I think it's a Winter Orb, a Seal Cleansing, and a Powder Keg. So 2 good answers, I guess, assuming that they would resolve. Though both of those answers are protected by both Stifle and Vision Charm if a Dreadnought is in play. As the Powder Keg.
What have we here? Okay. The gauntlet's been thrown. Here we go.
Right, so Jared gets to find lands. So, I mean, if James has a foil or a daze, I think, like, Jared can't do much. I don't think he can really play around that. Because you can't play a land and wait a turn. You're going to die to the Dreadnought then, because the Powder Keg does take a turn to, like, set up. So if James could have a lot of cards. If he has foil, an island, and another card. If he has daze, also if he just has like stifle, then he's looking in really good shape. So Jared really on the back foot in this position needs to have this Powder Keg go his way. And I mean, like, James saw his hand, so right, like that just leads me. Okay, well here this helps around days. So the Mox Diamond does help. The Seal got to rest. And so this Powder Keg does resolve. So still potentially there's problems like a Vision Charm or a Stifle can still prevent Jared from blowing up the Dreadnought. So if you have Vision Charm, or is it only artifact creature? Or is it artifact?
I think it's artifact. Because I'm pretty sure there have been plays where I've phased out Tormod's Crypts. Yeah.
Yeah, so if he had Vision Charm here, he could just do it before that that counter went on the stack. And then he would be able to attack. So maybe this is going to be okay for Jared. I guess you do it upkeep.
You don't do it now.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
definitely
like,
don't do it.
I wouldn't think that Vision Charm is in play because I would think it'd be better for James to use it on upkeep, but maybe there's not. I guess if he's doing it, yeah, I still think if you know that much about Jared's hand, that I would do it during the upkeep if I had Vision Charm. But
with the trigger on the stack.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right, we got 3 mana. Oh, we got 4 mana. We're casting Armageddon. This is, I like this because this plays around that stifle Vision Charm. So the mana floating, the casting days.
Impulse. And Duel's Vault.
We do have an impulse. Okay. So kind of interesting that the Armageddon that we didn't really consider a role player in this matchup just because James doesn't need very much actually is opens up a lot of doors. I mean, I don't necessarily know if it's doing anything right now, but well, it's certainly doing something. I could say that, but it might just be the reason why Jared could win this game. So, right, the lands are gone. So, and now we'll use the powder keg. So yeah, this with some really good sequencing from Jared. I don't know if it would have been different otherwise, but the position from Jared looks a lot better, obviously, now when the board is clear and he's got a land tax in play and a Mox Diamond. So Duress will take out either a Winter Orb or we'll take out a Winter Orb. So
yep.
This, I would think this Werebear is going to come down, and this might be a Mighty Werebear. That was a very exciting turn. I don't know.
That was pretty sweet.
It'll be interesting to see in the post game to talk about like what if James remembers what he had in his hand at that point. But I feel like Jared navigated out of a very sticky situation. Because do you think I just don't think James would commit the Dreadnought if he didn't have an answer to that powder keg.
Ooh, great land too for Jared.
Yeah, the Undiscovered Paradise will allow him to land tax even further.
It's a solid draw.
I think that land is a little bit underrated in pre-modern. I mean, people definitely play it, but it's nice to fix your mana and ooh.
Wow.
All right, we have a Vision Charm.
Okay. Is it so? It's what, swords or bust?
There might be like a Aura Silence or a Steel Cleansing. I mean, Scroll Rack gives you more looks, though. He's got 2 mana right now with the Werebear and the Mox Diamond. He wouldn't have enough to. He would need to Scroll Rack into a Mox Diamond and like a Swords Plowshares.
Yeah, I think it's just swords. This is only out here.
Yeah, maybe a Terravor can be big enough to. I mean, how big would the Terravor need to be?
But he doesn't have the mana, right? He needs another Mox Diamond because
Well,
he had to bounce the.
he has a Werebear.
Oh, I
But
guess he could tap his Werebear, yeah.
But I mean, ideally, he would want to use those two in combination. Like if because the Terraform might. There were 3 lands from Jared, like on the battlefield, and 2 from James, and there have been fetch lands. So Terraform would be at least a 7/7, and I think it's threshold. So if there were I guess it can't be Mox Diamond and Terravor. I'm just getting excited about Terravor. There's a Scroll Rack. All right. So this needs to be Mox Diamond Swords.
Yeah.
And land, I guess. But
Yeah,
I would
think he's gonna go 6 deep.
think I would put them all.
Yeah. I would go all 6. James only has 1 card in his hand.
Well, I mean, you could say that you like put 5 to make sure that you have the land, because there's a possibility that
Oh,
you only
to
find Mox
discard it.
Diamond and Sword Splashes and not a land.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's point. That's a
I
good point.
don't know what is
Gabe,
mathematically better.
Gabe
Nope.
agrees with you in chat.
Does not
All right.
find what he needs. Jared does look at the top card, so he, I guess he is deciding whether if he would have scroll wrecked for 6 if it would have made a difference. But yeah, that kind of heartbreaking. I guess I'm kind of leaning into Jared's the storyline here. But yeah, I felt like the things just kind of worked out that he was going to take it, and then a dreadnought comes right down and kind of just rains on his parade. All right, I'll bring up sideboards, and then I think I will be doing the giveaway. So,
All right.
Just another thing in chat. If you want to be entered and are not already, type exclamation point card sphere to be entered. All right, let's go over to the decks. All right, what do we have?
Perish. Uh, a boomerang.
Well, the smothers I think are coming in. I guess yeah.
Mother for mage. Yeah.
Yep. A null is a card. Land tax, scroll rack, mox diamond. Yeah, I think you bring in a nulls. I think there's enough targets. The one argument against it is it doesn't interact with the cards that you like care about per se. Like if you're just trying to protect your combo, a null doesn't really do that much. Though I still think they're probably efficient enough. They might come in. All right. From Jared's perspective, he's gonna need some help. There's a seal of cleansing, a smother, 2 abolish. I don't think Wrath of God would come in. Uh, but there's a good amount of hate in terms of there's 4
Oh
more
yeah.
like spot removal cards.
Yeah, I like seal, smother, and both abolishes for sure. Those are great.
What cards do you not like? Do you think Zurin Orb is ever worth it? Like you're probably gonna take 1 or 2 from your fetch lands. You're gonna be at 18. You would need to sack between 3 and 4 lands, I think, most of the time to get to get an extra turn from it. I
Yeah.
don't think that's a card I would want to keep in. I think I would take that out.
Yeah, there are times where you keep it in because you still want to be able to activate land tax in some fringe situations. But if Jared gets to that point in the game where he's stabilized enough, I don't think it's going to matter. So I think that I take out Zern Orb for sure.
Yeah, I think Winter Orb can come out. That one's not very effective against the Stiflenought.
I would take out the Armageddons too. I know it was a cool play in game 1, but I don't think it's a very good card in this match.
Yeah, so I guess if we pointed out 5 cards and 3 Armageddons, a Zern Orb and a Winter Orb, and if we're only bringing in 4 cards, which of those 5 main deck cards do you like the most? I think I like 1 Armageddon the most, more than Winter Orb or Zern Orb, but I don't know.
Wait, so we're bringing in seal, smother, and 2 abolish, right?
Yeah, and then there's 3 Armageddons, Winter Orb, and Zern Orb, so that's 5
Oh,
cards.
I missed Winter Orb. I probably would keep in. I'd probably keep in an Armageddon
Okay.
just to have it as an out, just in case.
Yep. All right. I think is it drawing time? I'm showing that
Let's do it.
13 eligible users. So
Ooh, it's pretty good odds.
yes, I. Oh, here we go. Roll it. Here we go. And the winner is Mr. T Jones.
Congrats.
So congratulations. So what I would like you to do is there should be like a whisper option in Twitch. If you could get a way for me to contact you, and then I will send the payment through PayPal. But just if I have a way to privately message you. So congrats to Mr. T Jones.
Congratulations. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yes. All right. I think they're waiting for us.
I just messaged him.
Okay. Manabird says judge. It even like came through at like the Nightbot said I know when I did the the giveaway through Facebook. Because what I just did is I put everyone's name in a spreadsheet and assigned them a number, and then just did it in random.org. I did record it just in case someone called me out. So,
Nice.
well, we see a
Very
Zurin
nice.
Orb, so that card stayed in, it looks like. Did either player's mulligan? I
Not that I could tell. I
Okay.
think Jared or James was thinking about keeping for a little bit there. There was a bit of a delay even after they had read that they could start. Um,
James is
ooh,
putting
just
bonus spells.
running out the pedal.
Well, I mean, I guess it is slightly vulnerable to a card like, but I don't think you're ever targeting Abolish with on a Lotus Petal. But yeah, I saw the Lotus Petal and I'm just thinking in my head, turn one Dreadnought.
Why run it out if you're not going to use it?
Um, Counterspell. That's Smother. I don't know. Oh, Comical Flop wanted me to mulligan the drawing. All right, we do have Meddling Mage, so I mean, this Meddling Mage is it still is very good if it resolves, but it is a lot less exciting, given that I have to assume that James is bringing in Smothers. And this does prompt a response from James. He goes and fetches an island. So I have to guess that he will be
Daze or
responding.
counterspell or
Mhm.
smother.
I mean, it could be Impulse. And if
It could
you,
be Limdul's Vault.
yes, that's true. It could be Boomerang.
Oh, snap.
I don't think it's Boomerang. It's Limdol's Vault. All right.
Hey, all right. When you name 6 or 7 cards, you're bound to get it right.
Yeah, that's true. We could just, yeah, go through all the 2 mana spells in his deck. All right, he's Pain of Life. All right, so if you're not familiar with this card, you're going to look at your deck in increments of 5 cards. If you ever like those 5 cards, you can rearrange those as you want, and then the rest of your deck gets shuffled, and those go on top. And if you want to keep looking like a new set of 5, you have to pay a life. So, if your life total is not pressured, it is pretty much just search your deck for five cards that you see in at the same time and put them as you like. So you can really get really aggressive with some Limdol's Vault and find combinations of cards that, like you could say like, yeah, I like 2 of these cards, but I'm going to look for 3 that I really want. If your deck is like dense with those spells, but it looks like
Have you ever like gone through it and you knew that you couldn't win the game, but you just kept looking at each 5 cards as slowly as possible and losing life? And then you eventually just killed yourself and made your opponent wait like 15 minutes. You ever done that?
I don't think I've ever been in a position where I felt like I was casting Limdol's Vault and felt like I could not win. So
Do you know what that's called? That play? It's
uh,
called Limdul Salt.
Okay, Lindell Salt. I was gonna say, I know it's a pun. All right, but we did have a response to that meddling mage, but it was a costly one from James. He used foil and discarded Lotus Petal and Island to get rid of it. So, I mean, as far as exchanges go, I feel like Jared might be okay with that because that's a lot of resources that James had to commit to keep that meddling mage off the table.
Indeed. Let's
Limdol's
see what his
fault.
follow up here is. Limdul, also known as Dim Bulb. Anyone in chat know that reference? Dim Bulb? Let's see. We'll see if anyone recognizes that. Dim Bulb.
So, oh, did I mess up life totals? James at 17 and Jared's at 19. Okay. 2 blue mana are floating, so we got Gush. That's a way to play around land tax.
Mm-hmm. Comical Flop, I think Recruiter's a little more time intensive than LDV, but
Yeah, it definitely is. Like when you have like the permutations with you looking at like 50 cards at once as compared to 5 at a time. I would agree, but I mean, you could make an argument, but also Lindell's Vault is 2 colors, and so less decks can play it. So if you're not looking from a time perspective in terms of playability, but I don't know.
All right. There
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, Gabe. Limdell's Vault does not put a card in your hand, so I think he was resolving the Limdell's Vault, uh, making a decision. I guess like if you like found a smother, then maybe you wouldn't want to use the foil on it.
Yep. That was my impression as well.
All
So
right.
dim bulb is what Jaya Ballard calls Limdul in the novel.
Ah.
That's what she calls him. Dim
All right.
bulb.
We've got a source of plowshares that resolved. So James is gaining some life. This is another exchange that I think um, Jared is happy with.
Oh yeah.
And he's got a scroll rack. He doesn't. I mean, the land tax engine isn't going to be going anytime soon, but it's still nice to. There's still fetch lands. There's still other ways to. Enlightened Tutor can shuffle his deck. So, but I mean, just like applying pressure, and also like so we talked about Armageddon getting sideboarded out, but like here's a spot where. I mean, maybe Armageddon isn't great here because there's no pressure, but
Yeah.
because I James does only needs like 2 lands to basically operate. All right, so what does Jared want? Can we just say Terravor? Oh, I guess he's got Sylvan Library, which actually is a nice exchange. He's paying 8 life, and is also
Oh wow.
nice that he has the Zern Orb in combination. So, because really his life total, if it's either like above 12 or below 12, is kind of like the important marks. I mean, there might be some Mesmeric Fiends that come into play, but for the most part, he's going to get his life total in chunks of 12. I guess also blocking is something that Jared's deck could do. So maybe his life total is a little bit more valuable than I give it credit for, but in general, I like being aggressive with the Sylvan Library. I mean, it makes your Sylvan Library or your Scroll Racks a lot more effective when you have an extra 2 cards. So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if I would consider like James still like a control in this role. Like, I mean, he does have some controlling elements, but he definitely is like the one forced to apply pressure. Like, if if the game just goes on for a number of turns, I feel like Jared is able to kind of set up shop and have
Oh yeah.
answers, where James still has to like win the game by doing his plan A. So
Yeah. The longer this game goes, the better and better it gets for Jared. Tax Rack is just such a powerful engine.
all right, so James is yeah, he should be at plus 12 life. It looks like he did not. Okay, so he took a damage to cast Limdell's Vault. Now he's paying another life to keep going. Okay, now he's going up. Not often that your life total gets to go up when you're casting Limdell's Vault, but James found a way. All right, we can go deeper, James says. I mean, when you got 26, 25 life to play with,
Can work with that. Till Scary Terry comes down, and we'll see.
Cabe asks, is there a card that's the opposite of False Cure? Is it basically, I guess it would be like if you would gain life, you gain double
Gain
that
life,
life.
or if you gain life, they lose life.
Yeah, that's false scary. He's saying, I guess if it's he's saying, is there a card the opposite, or is he saying if you lose life, they lose life? I don't.
Well, no, because whenever they gain life,
Then he's saying, is there a card opposite of this? That's I
so
guess.
whenever a player loses life, you gain life.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean like Sanguine
Smother.
Bond is the card. Yeah, I guess that probably makes the most sense, but I don't know. if that was what Gabe was going for. All right, we do have a Limdol's Volt that was decided on. So James is now at 24. He was at 29, so it was 1 damage from his land and then 4 extra looks, it looked like. So, and with the Meddling Mage, Stiflenought has been named. Good old.
Smother.
Oh, that's a smother? Oh, I thought.
Smother.
All right. I guess Stiflenought is kind of ambiguous.
You can play neither stifle nor not.
It's like, well, it was kind of they were just talking about the judges corner and talking about with naming cards.
Fire Ice.
Yeah, Fire Ice, and someone had pointed out in the video that we had played that I don't know if it was a Cabal Therapy or Meddling Mage that you played against me, but you named Fire Ice. I think it was a Meddling Mage, and you only get to name one half now. I think as of like June or something. So.
Oh really?
So yeah, you're able to cast the other half of the card under Meddling Mage.
Cool. Very cool.
How do you like naming Smother there? Is that kind of like a soul read? Like thinking, or do you think it means that like Jared feels like he's gonna be able to find an answer to a Dreadnought in the meantime? Because I mean, like the one thing that this does is if you name Dreadnought and he has Smother, then you lose your Meddling Mage. If you name Smother, you're able to attack for 2 over and over and over.
Yeah, I think he just wants the pressure that we had mentioned earlier would be my guess.
Okay.
Because he's got the Sylvan Library getting him some cards, and he's got Scroll Rack. He doesn't have attacks, but I think he wanted to maybe go on the beatdown.
Yeah, I have to imagine that is his thought process. Or if he has maybe he has a Terravor. Well, James has a Dreadnought, so there's a Wasteland to take out the Underground River, and we're gonna rack. Dry Sierra asks, just got here. What did I miss? So we are in our second match. James was able to take down the first one in 2 games. It was 5-color Sligh against Draco Blast. And now we are in game 2 of the second match. So Jared is back against the wall. If he loses a game in this match, then he's done. And James will be our champion. But Jared has been able to fight a lot. Okay, he's showing a Seal Cleansing, which, if this resolves, looks good. I mean, there's
1 card in his hand.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I was gonna say, like, maybe you have to wait till upkeep, but nope, we're doing it Bane Face so he can attack.
All right, now James is in trouble.
The old 12-turn clock. Yeah, Meddling Mage has a lot of more work to do when you spot your opponent at 12 life. So, but this Werebear is, how big is this Werebear?
1, 2, 3. Is there 6 cards in Jared's graveyard?
Well, there's a Zurin Orb. The Zurin Orb is doing work.
Yeah. Ooh. All right, 6.
Bam. All right. Things look good for Jared, but we've said that before. Or we got a Portent. Who's he? He's targeting Jared. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say in that position, I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. And I'm like, he's just doing this for fun, and I love it. I love the idea. So yes, I will make the statement that anyone who plays me in a webcam game has permission to cast Portent on me, and then take a long amount of time thinking how you want to order it, and then telling me to reshuffle. I give you permission. I would not recommend doing against everyone, but you have permission to do it against me. All right, we are going to game 3. So
all right,
I'll jump over the decks. I mean, what sideboard cards had we seen? We did see. I guess we don't know for sure from Jared. Like, I mean, we did see Zurin Orb, which is a card we thought he might take out, but
yeah.
we did see a Seal Cleansing, but there was one of those in the main. And from James, I guess we technically didn't see a sideboard card, did we?
No.
So
think so. I'm just double checking.
All right. Well, I'll go over to our get to know the players.
No, we didn't.
I always enjoy doing these. I hope everyone in chat does enjoy getting to know the players a little bit more on a personal level. All right. So we're on Jared. So what standard era was the golden age of Magic? And he says the invasion era, which is a good choice. I do like. I
That was
feel like
fun.
invasion hit a nice note of where all the cards felt really powerful without being overpowered. But again, I guess this was before my time of actually playing standard, so this is all my perception. It could be wrong, but um, I do like the invasion era answer. It says the most underrated pre-modern card is Ancient Tomb, and I can get behind that. I think a lot of times the decks you put in Ancient Tomb, the mana definitely outweighs the damage you take. In some matchups, you just don't really you don't care that much about your life total. So Ancient Tomb, very good. Most overrated pre-modern card. He says I can't think of any. All right, that's fair. All right, nothing. I get that was enough of an answer for me to not answer for him. So
Yeah,
all right.
fair enough.
How did you pick your three decks? He said he picked decks that he was like to play and that he was comfortable with. And I do like that strategy. I mean, uh, you could always try and get little edges, like thinking like this is how things are going to line up, and I'm going to do it. And sometimes it's just better to play the decks that you're going to make less mistakes with, and I can appreciate that. So, favorite pizza topping: pepperoni and garlic. All right,
It's good.
and also his favorite superhero is Batman. Good old Batman. All right, let's go on to our. I in my mind I wanted to say like fallen comrades, but I don't know. All right, our other players. So Aaron Dix. So he said either of the Wrath standard eras. So either Wrath plus Mirage or Wrath plus Urza Saga was his favorite standard era of Magic. And of course, if you know Aaron, uh, his most underrated pre-modern card is Urza's Bauble. He says Urza's Bauble forever. So
It's
that
gonna
is,
die on that hill of baubles.
yep. Uh, he says the most overrated pre-modern card is Living Wish. I don't feel like as many people are casting Living Wish as maybe 2 years ago, but I could see that though. I kind of want to give Living Wish a try again. I don't know. Um, how did you pick your three decks? He said he kind of looked at like the bad matchups. He wanted to pick three decks that had one weakness, and then he always had that idea that he was going to ban that deck. So that is an interesting take and I think a valid strategy. Uh,
You see the chat, Mike?
oh, oh,
The players had a quick question.
so I would say no. If I if he hasn't if nothing's been decided that like James said he had naturally he drew 8 cards and then he's asking if he has to take a force mulligan. Uh, uh, just let him know in chat, yeah, that he can um, just I guess I don't know how this would be ruled in a normal situation. I would say um here I'm gonna take a quick pause.
All right, yeah,
All right,
let's
so
let's just double check.
all right, we're back from our judge call. So the situation was that James drew his opening hand. He was on the play. He said he'd keep, and then Jared made a mulligan decision, and then James realized that he had 8 cards when he said he kept. I don't know what the exact ruling was, but uh, James had offered that he's comfortable with taking a forced mulligan. So I think that's what we're gonna do. That James is basically mulliganing down to 6. So
Yep.
good sportsmanship for James, and thank you for being honest. And so, uh, if anything, it's I'm kind of excited because like gives Jared a little bit of edge, so that maybe we can go to a third match. I don't know, like
Might get a match.
that's bad motivations, but as a content producer, I don't know. That's something that we're looking forward. So Jared does mulligan. I guess we did back up saying that he got the decision to whether he wanted to mulligan more or less.
All
Okay.
right, Island Go. We're gonna see turn two Swamp, Lotus Petal, Duress, Dreadnought, Vision Charm. Right?
Mm, no.
No,
We got a fetch land out of Jared. He is fetching right away. So is this land tax? That's typically his. Unless Mox Diamond is involved. I guess Enlightened Tutor could come into play. But I'm going to check our poll and see what. I guess we had the poll much earlier when we had the first match, but I want to see what people got. It was pretty split. Like 58% said that James would win. So, do you like Jared's odds in this matchup? I feel like it's hard because it's like I feel like things can easily just go wrong for Jared, and things can just lose so much in an instant. I don't know if that necessarily beats that he's disadvantaged because he does have a number of cards that interact pretty well, but it it feels like Jared's an underdog. Okay,
Look at that hand.
are you sighing at the
I'm saying it's not a side. It's like, ooh, wow.
okay,
Like, dang, that is a good hand.
the smother and swords is good against the duress, and Scroll Rock will set things up as this land tax gets to trigger. Well, there's a stifle in this deck. Maybe it won't trigger. I mean, it'll trigger. Might not resolve. Hi, Jared. How's it going?
Hey, Jared. Cheers. Smother be gone.
Interesting. So, I guess normally you would. Okay, there's a dreadnought. I guess one gains you life. So, is this asking like? Is this saying I have days?
But if that's the case, why wouldn't you take the swords? Because
Because
Smother costs more if he wants to try to daze, right?
then
I
Jared would
mean,
like
I guess it
force to
doesn't
not
matter.
do. Because then Jared couldn't do anything in response, and he would land tax and play the land, and then smother like during his upkeep. So
Yeah.
it could have been like I'm gonna make this line, and I mean also like swords gains you 12 life. I mean like that is an advantage. Um,
But he doesn't have to run the Dreadnought out there. You know what I mean? It's not like
yeah, I mean I that would be a very ballsy move if you didn't have days there and just casted it into Swords Plushers. But I mean like that's a play that in theory you could make at this level because like Jared would very obviously reduce like you just saw my hand, you took a card out of my hand, like it's clearly you're representing days. It would be a very respectable bluff if James ended up doing that. I think he has the days, but very interesting. Okay, so here we have
seal
Seal, which
and
is
a
great
swords in hand.
because now I guess he can't play around. He's not really playing around with the days, but he's. I mean, he is in the sense that he. Okay, so there's a stifle here. So would you cast the swords here?
Yeah.
I think I would wait.
James only
Okay.
had one card in
Oh,
his
he only
hand.
had one card in his hand. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that was just a bluff then, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. That was there's. I don't feel like there's that many opportunities in Magic where you really get to bluff, and that was a really good spot. And I guess I mean technically it didn't pay off because the result was still the same, but uh, kudos to James for making that play. I don't think a lot of people would make that play. Well, I thought you said he only had one card in his hand.
I thought he only had one card in his hand. I guess I was wrong. Sorry, everybody.
I guess that makes a little more sense of why he's just more aggressively running it out.
Well, no, maybe he did because he drew a card. Did he just draw Dreadnought plus Stifle? Because he would have drawn two cards because Jared did that during his upkeep. So James drew a card, and then James took his next turn, and he would have drawn a second card. So it's possible that he drew Dreadnought Stifle.
Right, so Jared's going to fetch.
I mean, I think that's what happened.
I'm not sure. Right, Jared is
Wrath of God.
casting Wrath. All right. Well, that was a card that we thought was too slow, but Jared gets to 4 mana and is very happy to cast it here.
All right, Gabe.
All right, so things look good for Jared from this position, though I've said that in the past and things have quickly changed.
Sure.
But I guess the land tax scroll rack like the land tax is no longer online because Jared has more lands
I
than
I think
James.
we're going to a third match
Okay.
at this point. I'm calling it
What
right now.
what is this medley mage naming, do you think? That's a DN.
Dreadnought.
What other DN cards? Oh, there's a smother right away. Other pre-modern cards that are DN. It's the Dark Knight, and Jared's just not very good at spelling.
Could be.
Manabirds, has anyone playing Terrageddon ever cast a Terravor ever? Yes. It's unfortunate that the lists have like cut it down to two, but they used to play four and Terravor. There you go. We got Scary Terry in the house. He's a 3/3.
Scary Terry. Is there an orb maybe? Yeah.
Well, this is a spot where he could. I mean, turbing out your Terravor and getting your land tax online seems very good in this spot.
Ooh.
There isn't a null. Okay. I mean, it's a position where you're just. I mean, I don't know if you're happy with that exchange because you used Enlightened Tutor, skipped a draw step, and got countered, but you're in a position where your things look pretty good.
I
And
mean, that's helpful for James at least because Jared can't really activate his tax rack unless he's rocking an Armageddon in the deck still.
Mhm. So Jared uses fetch land. He does find a land. I guess is there any merit of just like not getting a land there? I guess
I don't
James
think
is
so at this point.
you don't James is probably never going to 4 mana, 4
No.
lands. Right. So Terravor got a little extra work since James was at 31, but now he's down to 27.
I mean, if Jared's got that Armageddon in his deck still, like if you left at least one copy in, that's probably one of the best draws possible.
Yes. All right, we have a Limdol's Vault. And it would be interesting if we ever get in the position where the Terravor, like James's life total is low enough, or the Terravor is big enough that he can't attack with the Dreadnought in fear of like losing the race. That like, I guess he would have to be pretty low at life,
Mm-hmm.
or this Terravor would have to grow pretty quickly, or he would have to pay a lot of life with this Limdol's Vault. So
We've just seen one Swords from Jared, right?
yes, I think it was the initial one we saw. That yeah.
Swords and a Smother.
Mm-hmm. Right, so James has found a suitable 5 cards.
Hey, what's up, Andrew?
All right. So I mean, if you like your 5, then you kind of be a little scared that Dreadnought's coming, right? Oh, here's Gush. So it could just be right away, right? If you had Gush, Dreadnought,
Yeah.
and do you think that's what the sequence? I mean, if you because he didn't have to dig that long. We have Portent. This is Portent targeting. Okay, this is Portent targeting James. Let's say this. I mean, this could be a spot where you Portent your opponent, but,
I know. I was thinking we might see it.
and he's shuffling. So what? So is this a spot where 'cause this kind of came up I think before where he did look, and I know he initially saw like a bunch of the stifles and the vision charms before he saw the dreadnoughts, And so he kept Dreadnought and Portent, and then Portent just to shuffle so that he could be more likely to draw those vision charms and dread or stifle. So I don't know if this is that situation or if he found the cards he wanted with Gush and then he wanted to get the chaff away uh, with Portent. So Terravor
He just
crunches in
passed
for
it there.
4. Yep. Duress. Well, Duress is not great against Scroll Rack, right? I mean, I guess. Does Jared know what's on top of his deck? I haven't been paying that close attention. I guess he could just put the one spell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like it's Cabal Therapy.
He's putting 2
Down
cards
2.
back. And there's 2 lands. Undiscovered Paradise. All right. So I don't know if you can say that the coast is clear because of Scroll Rack, but here's a Portent. So who is this Portent targeting?
Oh, target Jared. Please target Jared. Ah,
No. All right.
I keep thinking we're going to see it. It's
I
like
mean,
in that movie Hot Tub Time Machine when they keep thinking they're going to see the guy lose his arm and then it just keeps not happening. And they're like, ow, ow, ow. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's
I,
funny.
I might have seen parts of it, but I mean, that one is not high on my list of things to watch. So,
What do you everybody's seen that movie? What are you talking about?
what about Urza's hot tub? What do you think about?
Ooh,
What do you think about that one?
I don't remember what that one does.
Uh,
There it
it's a
is.
2 mana artifact, 2 mana. Discard a card. Search your library for a card that shares a complete word in its name with a discarded card. Because that was one of the themes of Unhinged's card names. So,
Yeah.
all right, back to the match. Terravor still attacking. James is at 14. So James would need to be at one swing's worth of life to not be able to attack with a dreadnought, right? So I
Yeah.
guess Jared either needs to apply more pressure or grow the Terravor. You have a boomerang. So Jared has the life to or the mana to pay this. So this was a combat one, so interesting. I don't know if that's the spot where you need to cast boomerang. I guess maybe if you're anticipating using your mana, because like if you drew a counter spell, you'd rather take 4 then, and then like bounce it at. Oh, he's dazing seal cleansing. All right. Well, he got some use out of that daze, which is probably not going to do much against the 5 mana that Jared had. So
Right.
seal cleansing down, and yep. I mean, like the Wastelander was in his hand, and I mean, it hurts a little because he could have played that before the seal cleansing, but I mean, what's done is done.
Yep.
And if you think it's correct to play the Wasteland, you play it now because that Wasteland can target itself, and the Terravor can get bigger. Are you going to use this Wasteland right away? I think I would. I mean, I guess the difference between okay, if you're at 10, then you can do it later in case like
Yeah.
James has like an underground river. I almost said underground sea.
I was like, River.
Tom, James has won the first match, and so we're in game 3 of our second match. So Jared needs to win this to take it to a third match.
Duress. It just hurts. It hurts.
Can you hear my dog at all?
I think I just heard her.
Oh, she's not very happy right now. My dog just got spayed today, everybody. So she's got a cone and she's in her kennel and she's sad. So all right.
All right.
Well, so if it's a vision charm, then you just attack with a 5 power Terravor, and then James is at 5, and you can't attack for 12 because you fear dying. Okay. Well, I mean, it's this one got 2 because of Undiscovered Paradise. So James will go to 4. So this dreadnought is And there's a werebear. So, I mean, I don't. It needs to be like a boomerang or a smother.
Abolish. All right.
Oh, there's abolish.
Match 3.
All right, we're going to a decider. Okay, so I need a quick break to set some things up on my stream to adjust some things. It shouldn't take too long, but also it gives me a chance to get some water and whatnot. So I'm
Yeah,
going to run
same here.
some the quick ads or whatever we have. Um, Rich, thank you for the host. I'm going to go on a quick break. I was just saying this. We are going to a final third match. I'm going to take a brief intermission to get some things set up. Our players might also appreciate a brief break. So hang out in the chat, and we will be right back. All right, everybody. We are back from our break. We have the decks that were banned are now facing off against each other. So James will be playing the Star Spangled Slaughter while Jared has the Goblins deck, which they did play in the regular season. So I'll bring up the deck list for James. So the Star Spangled Slaughter, the blue, white, red tempo mid-range deck. I guess the one thing to note about this deck is the mana base. I mean, that's something we talk about. Playing 3 mana, 3 colors in this format does come at a cost, and it's not necessarily as consistent as other decks and susceptible to cards like Wasteland, which is something that Jared has. Is there anything you want to talk about this real quick, or should I just bring up Jared's deck?
Bring up Jared's deck.
All right, the Little Red Men. He has the green splash and the sideboard for Naturalize to help out against cards like Circle Protection Red or Engineered Plagues. But the aggressive tribal deck is just always really powerful. If you're new to Premodern, respect Goblin Lackey. It definitely defines the format. Just that if you be willing to lose the Lackey if you're keeping hands that like don't have removal, I guess is kind of what you need to do. So keep some decks honest.
I just play Fog in every deck myself.
Right.
I don't know about you.
Andrew might agree because he plays the Moments piece all the time. So, but I guess doesn't get the Lackey unless you're on the play. All right, the key cards. So we've seen the match a couple of times, and I think it went both ways. We saw between different players. So the key cards for the Star Spangled Slaughter, like Lightning Bolt or Swords of Plowshares, are really important just to get rid of the initial pressure from the Goblin deck, or maybe take out like a Goblin War Chief to prevent haste. But then on the sideboard, there's Pyroclasm, which is the only like real efficient way of the blue-white red deck to get card advantage. Like once the board is put in, because like Fire Ice doesn't usually take out 2 creatures, or at least 2 important creatures. So Pyroclasm, I think there's only a couple copies, but it's something that Jared has to keep in mind. And then Goblin Ringleader is great in this deck because the blue-white red deck just goes 1 for 1 so often that if you're able to play Goblin Ringleader, not only do you get a 2/2 haste, but you're getting likely 3. I don't know what the average is. It's probably between 2 and 3 cards. But we have seen 4-card Goblin Ringleaders in the past.
That is the card you name with Meddling Mage.
Yes. And but Goblins, I mean, has like a decent number of ways of answering it. And the games usually go a little bit longer, so the Meddling Mage ends up dying. So I have swapped out, I think I had Goblin Piledriver here in the past, but a Wasteland, just as a nod to the mana base of the Star Spangled Slaughter deck, it is a plan of attack that the Goblins can take, is just to take out a color and strand a number of cards in the opponent's hand while you build up a board presence. And even if they find that mana later, like we talk about, there's not as many ways for the blue-white red deck to catch up. Do you want to add anything, Flint? Are you ready to...
I'm ready. I've been ready for this for several weeks.
Okay. All right. We're in our final match of the Premodern Showdown Series 3. We have James on the Star Spangled Slaughter up against Jared piloting Goblins. So James gets the choice to play first since he lost the last match. And he's going to start with a Mother of Runes. So I think every time we see Mother of Runes come down against these red decks, it's died very quickly. As James he's ready.
Should I just set this in the graveyard now?
And Mog Fanatic goes to the graveyard quickly to take out the Mother of Runes. Yep. I mean, that's something that you're definitely. I mean, we haven't seen a Mother Runes in play against the Goblin deck, but I mean, I don't think it's certainly not game over, but it does
Right.
kind of throw a wrench in their plans. So now we have the Meddling Mage. We'll have to figure out what this is naming, but we think
Ringleader.
it's Ringleader. Is that what it confirmed?
That's what I think it should be,
Okay.
but I haven't seen anything in chat.
There could be like some instances where I say like if you had like memory lapses that maybe you're okay with him casting. Like if you had multiple memory lapses,
War
I think a
Chief.
War Chief. Okay.
I don't know. Like having played against goblins with this deck, I understand why he's naming War Chief, but card advantage is so important that I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it probably doesn't matter as much in game one because James, really can't recover when Jared's playing multiple spells a turn with War Chief. But card advantage is how you easily beat this red, white, and blue deck.
How about Meddling Mage beatdowns? Is that a way to beat it?
That's how you win a fair number of games with it.
Uh,
So there's the ringleader.
and we get a turbo out with the Ancient Tomb allows the Ringleader in. Whamma Bamma Ding Dong. There's three goblins: Ringleader, Matron, and Sieging Commander. So, uh, how do you like those whammies?
Pretty good.
Oh man, it's like they made Muldrifter but just gave it haste. They did it years before, and they made it a red card.
James just needs to slam what Lightning Angel, Lightning Angel.
I mean, that would be a way to clock against us. I think if that were a sequence, would Jared he would have Matron to get Incinerator, but I guess we're a ways off of you need the Siege Gang and then Matron and Incinerator. That only gets rid of one, and you're tapping Ancient Tomb twice. I don't know. Yeah, Lightning Angel could be a problem.
I mean, yeah, James just he has to race here.
So Jared chose to attack with that Ringleader. I guess if so, that is one thing that is interesting. I wonder if that should have been a defensive one because, like, this hurts a lot more. I think if you're at 11, yeah, that's an extra turn. And I mean, it's harder to say like with Ancient Tomb getting tapped of like of what is an extra turn. Drycia likes my catchphrase of Wham and Ding Dong, so maybe that'll have to catch on. All right, we got 5 mana for Jared, so he's able to. He does have the option of Siege Gang into next turn, Matron into Incinerator to take out Lightning Angel. He will have to take 4 damage from his Ancient Tomb over the 2 turns, and then at that point, because if he takes 4 down to 5, and then he's down to 2 with the Lightning Angel, I mean, there's a lot of burn spells that take him out, and that's kind of where it's
Yeah.
like. It just feels like if he had 2 more life, it just feels a little bit better. Like,
Can we get 2 more life on the clock? 2 more
yeah.
life?
All right, Siege Gang.
Yeah.
Well, now I would attack with Ringleader, I think. Oh, I guess never mind. There's a Lightning Angel untapped. I would not attack with the Ringleader.
Yeah. Ringleader's going to stay home today.
Not a good
Back
bluff.
in the Warren.
Not a good bluff. All right, if this is a second Angel, that's gross. Okay, it's just one, so Jared's gonna go to 4. But you got to be scared of Bolt and Fire.
One red here.
I mean, that's Lightning Bolt, right?
Yeah.
Is he just targeting Jared?
Yeah.
No, he's targeting the Siege Gang. I don't like that. I guess
Really.
if he has memory lapse, I guess if he just untaps, he has the ability to shoot. Yeah, because if all right, Because I think now you have to use Matron to go get
to get a
Incinerator.
gem palm. Oh, but he's got to take 2 damage to do it.
Yep, he's gonna go 2. Yeah, I mean that's.
This is a literal nail biter.
Well, I mean, if James doesn't have a burn spell, which I'm trying to think if his play makes it more likely or less likely that he does. Like if he has bolt in his hand, then maybe that play makes sense. But I mean, he knew about the matron. I mean, I guess swords to polishers wouldn't help here because there's 5 goblins. Yeah, but yeah, that would be something that could come into play. But yeah, with just white and blue mana, I mean, memory lapse is no longer in play because the matron's already resolved.
Yeah.
Oh, Jared originally put Goblin Matron right into the graveyard. It's just a demonic tutor. All right, the Goblin Ringleader gets to attack. Yeah, I have. Okay, I had James at 15. Okay. All right, the red mana untaps. Oh, it's fire.
Fire.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
a lot of work for Jared just to die to fire. So.
Wow.
All right. Well, and I mean, like, I don't know if it was a mistake. Like, it might not have changed anything if there was both bolt and fire, because I think the bolt just goes to Jared instead, and he has a siege gang. But I think that attack with that ringleader that one turn could have really changed things. All right, first game goes to James. I'll
Take a
bring up
look at
this, yeah, the sideboards. We'll see if I can. I can think that Pyroclasm's coming in for James.
yeah.
There are 3 Hydroblasts. That also is a big player. Being able to just interact with the red spells for cheap.
Yeah, it's the 3 blasts, 2 classums, and a slice and dice.
You like Slice and Dice? I mean, because I
Yeah,
guess it takes
I
out.
do.
Just feels like it doesn't hit a lot of the important goblins.
Yeah, but it can like it sweeps a siege gang's army. It stops late game lackeys. It takes away pressure from fanatics. I mean, it hits a fair amount. It doesn't kill war chiefs, ringleaders, pile drivers, and the siege gang itself, or even a king. But just card advantage is just so important, and it replaces itself and takes out potential goblins. So it's, in my opinion, it's worth bringing in this match.
Remember that you can't spell slaughter without laughter.
This is very true.
I guess
Very, very
disenchants
true.
get to go out. That's a pretty easy substitution.
And you take out predicts as well.
Predicts.
Yeah.
All
And then
right.
probably 1 memory lapse.
For the goblins deck, I like Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast. I do like the Gem Home Incinerator, and uh, the Goblin King is fine. And I'm not as high on Collar the Claw, though I think Jared had brought it in the last time we played, if I remember. I'm not a big fan of Hearth Charm in this matchup. Uh, but I don't know what else you take out in that. I mean, I think I had toyed with the idea of taking out Lackey in this matchup, just because it's unlikely that it connects. But I don't know. That's uh, kind of a bold statement. So
I really like Pyrokinesis in this matchup. I know it's not a card that we saw last time, and I think I had mentioned it, but James's deck is just so threat light.
right.
And oftentimes, if you can answer a Lightning Angel or you can answer, obviously, a Meddling Mage, you can make the red, white, and blue deck stumble for long enough that you can kind of do what you need to do. I know it's a little bit of a card disadvantage situation potentially, but just think how good Incinerator is. And Pyrokinesis does that, and sometimes you can even get more than one creature. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I
I
like I really like removal for the Goblin stack
Yeah, I guess
against
that's
red, white, and
fine.
blue.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, I think there's two sharpshooters behind the Hearth Charmer that I think come out. I think if I remember in the past, that's what Jared had done, and I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's not very easy for the sharpshooter to go nuts. Um, but yeah, I guess Pyrokinesis kind of does what you want a little more consistently. I like Gem Home Incinerator. If you're just taking out a Lightning Angel, it's better to draw a card. But there are situations where you don't have four goblins in play, or like you have exactly four, and a removal spell really throws it off. So, or maybe you're tapped out, and like Pyrokinesis would be really good. So, I can see. I guess I do like the Pyrokinesis coming in. Um, I I kind of think it's a mistake to bring in the Call or the Claws, but all right.
yeah. I think I like it more than Color of the Claw for sure. What are we off to?
A Mog Fanatic and a Mother of Runes. So we got the reverse start. I guess the Mog Fanatic gets to attack once. You block with the Mother of Runes. I think you got it
I
right.
probably do. Yeah.
Yep. Does the Mog? Do you then let the combat damage happen, or do you shoot the Mog?
I kind of like letting the combat
I would.
damage happen.
Yeah, yeah. I
Kind
I,
of
I
an
agree
interesting
there.
story. Mother
Yeah.
Rune's fighting a goblin. Like just wanders into her kitchen at night and to make a sandwich, and then she attacks it first, and I don't know, it's this whole thing.
Well, what's the other situation? She's just like sitting in her kitchen, and the Mog Fanatic like jumps out of the plane and like flies through the window
Falls
and
through
just
the
like
roof.
it just like shoots her. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got a pile driver. That's the follow up that Jared had, and it attacked for one. Oh, I guess it didn't get through, or did it get through once?
I did not get through.
Okay, but there is a backup pile driver.
Yep. Meddling Mage, naming ringleader. No.
All right, pile driver. Not the most impressive when it's attacking for one. Well, it's less impressive when it's dead. But that's actually like, does that say anything? I mean, like, obviously the it's just like pile drivers, backup pile drivers. Here's a
Oh
sword
my
slashes.
god. This is interactive magic if I've ever seen it.
But these kind of the exchanges are ones that are not terrible for the goblins. Like, I mean, Jared is missing land drops, and if there is, I mean, it does change if a lightning angel like comes into play and stays in play, then it's a little bit different. But which we do see here. But a lot of times, if the games are going long, the goblins deck can do pretty well against the Star Spangled Slaughter deck.
It definitely can, but again, it's really got to go wide, right? If it's just trading one for one, it's not as good.
Mm-hmm. All right, 3 mana. This is a War Chief. All right, and I don't
Yeah,
know. I
War
mean, like,
Chief will stay at home as well.
well, yeah, that's a good choice. um, all right. Oh, a Hydro Blast. I was gonna say it's important, but nope. So James just
Oh, that's aggressive.
all remove all the time. I think that's like what do you want to use the Hydro Blast on?
I don't know. I might wait. It's so tough because he's obviously going to cast something next turn.
And you've seen Jared miss land drops, so I don't know if you're like worried about him really getting the
You
benefit of
just really
using.
want to get him while he's stumbling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if you don't Hydro Blast there, like you might be able to cast a Ringleader.
There's the ringleader name. Okay, good. Oh, the meddling mage is not going to carry that taboo baton there. There we go. So again, this is where pyrokinesis would shine, right?
Sure. I mean, are you using it to take out the Meddling Mage, or are you taking out the Lightning Angel?
It depends on what's in my hand, but probably the angel.
Yeah, I think you're under enough pressure that you need to. So here is a Goblin Matron. The best of the situation. Here's a
The
gem pump,
incinerator.
but it's kind of awkward.
If he's got an ancient tomb, he could go 1 mana goblin, 1 mana goblin. No, it's still not enough. Never mind.
I wonder. I mean, like it's really slow, but like Goblin Matron for Goblin Matron, but I don't.
I don't think that's the play he wants.
Because here, at least you're presenting that you could block with the Goblin Matron and then cycle the Gem Palm Incinerator
Ooh.
and trade if the damage from the Matron gets through. You are susceptible to a removal spell kind of blowing you out, but Jared's not really in a position where he can play around stuff, I don't think. He really just needs like a Pyroblast or a Red Elemental Blast. If you take out the Lightning Angel, then I think you'll be able to like put another creature in play, and the attack could be a little bit slower. I think a Siege Gang. All right. I guess it's tough because Jared does have the split. I was gonna say you might just need a name like Pyroblast in this situation, but there's a Mog Fanatic. Okay, well, we can take out. Well, in theory, if there's no removal spell, how gross would Fire Ice be here? All right, we take out the Goblin Ringleader one. Jared draws a card. Not seem like it's a land.
We might see the Patriot revenge here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there still are like things that the Goblin deck can do. Like, if this Lightning Angel gets removed, the game is pretty close.
It swings.
It's like it might be in Jared's favor at that point. Like if a Pyroblast just resolved, then I do like. There's a lot of things about this board position that I like for Jared, but okay, so it's just with the Lightning Angel. There goes the 7. Three mana. We've got a morph. That is a problem. I'm guessing that's an Exalted Angel. I guess in theory it could be.
He needs a second white mana though, right?
Yes.
You think it's a Blast Miner?
I mean, like, there are. I've seen weirder things, and are you? When do you? From Jared's position. So if you use both of these, then it kind of clears the way for Meddling Mage. And I mean, like, that James doesn't have a white mana. I think you might have to risk, like, your life total is low enough that I think you have to say, like, I'm going to hope you're not drawing a Plains or white mana this next turn. Always a Whipcord or... I like Rich. Yeah, thank you, Rich. Yeah, there we go.
That's a card that's near and dear to Mike's heart.
Yes, if we can get through all the slides, I might get to know the players that might come up again, but I think that alludes that one of the players did not answer the most underrated Premodern card. All right, Jared. He says, "I'm going to use these Meddling Mage or these Mog Fanatics. I understand that. I disagree with that. I think you've got to let Jared attack, or let James attack, because now you're taking."
He's not going to swing with the Mage.
Interesting. All right.
Is he worried about a cycle? Like,
that's
you got another Gem Palm.
That's the only reason I can think of. And this Mother of Runes is. If this Mother of Runes untaps, then like it's pretty much game over. I think if Jared.
Yeah. This is the pivotal turn right here.
And Jared.
Oh wow!
Three Goblin. He did draw a land finally, but
wow.
Yes, the 3 ringleader stuck in his hand.
We have a winner, folks.
We do have a champion.
Takes it down.
All right, I'm going to jump over to our players where we can listen in to them and we can talk to our champion.
Yeah, good games. Those were very close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'm gonna take apart my decks.
I'm
so excited.
I guess I won with this deck, but I don't like it, so I'm kind of ready to burn it.
Yeah, don't burn that deck.
Take apart decks. Yay!
Yeah, I feel like I did well there, not running into like a wasteland situation where I just get wrecked.
I had you covered for. I had double wasteland in my hand all of game 1, and you just never played a single non-basic. And I was like, okay, well that's how it happens sometimes.
Yeah. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What deck is this? All right, that one.
Oh, I guess we'll see what Mike and Flint are up to.
Yeah,
We're listening.
Yep.
Hey, what's up,
We're
guys?
Listening. Yeah.
We're listening to you guys, so congratulations, James.
Congratulations, James.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well fought, Jared.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, could not turn a corner, and it just but it was good games. They were tight matches, especially I think obviously the match of the night was definitely the second one.
Yeah,
that was definitely had some really good swings, so that was fun.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of. There was like, I think you cast like Armageddon, and like, did you lose that game? I don't know. I was like, oh, this is great, and then all of a sudden, like, there's just like a Dreadnought in play. I'm like, I don't know what happened. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that Armageddon play, I thought that I was really ahead of the curve on that one. I was like, okay, I don't want to get dazed. I don't want to get like my things. I didn't want my powder keg to get stifled. That's what it was. So I was like, I'm gonna Armageddon the board, and in his upkeep, I'll pop the keg. And so I thought I had that figured out, and then unfortunately I just could not draw anything else to like turn the corner in that game. But the second and third game where I was able to, I just have so much removal plus 4 in that matchup. But yeah, it was good. I think the first 2 matches definitely went as I expected, given the matchups.
Yeah.
Ooh, James, there was going
to be an uphill battle.
There was a play that we talked about. I don't know. We didn't know how many cards were in your hand, but you duressed, and Jared's hand was Smother, Scroll Rack, and Sword Supplishers.
I took the Smother instead of the swords.
Yes. So did you have a daze? Were you just bluffing a daze? Like, because you played a Dreadnought right away after that. Like, could he?
I did not have a daze.
Okay.
I figured my Dreadnought was going to die, and I needed to draw the swords out so that hopefully I could re-ramp up before he could ramp back up.
Okay.
But otherwise, I just looked at that hand and I'm like, this is an uphill battle right here. I took the sword so I'd get the life so I could like go nuts on Elimdul's Vault, or I could take some hits from like Terravor. But yeah.
Because I talked about that for a while, because I'm like, it was a lot of things had to line up from Jared's perspective, because like for you taking Smother, the more expensive card, like there, I mean, I knew swords like gives you life, but like if you didn't have daze, then it's kind of like, I feel like Smother is the card you want to keep in his hand because it costs more, but maybe not. But
yeah,
it definitely puts like daze in Jared's mind. So like the way that everything like sequenced, like daze like was just like played around, and so I don't know. It was an interesting spot where I felt like you got to like semi bluff a daze, and it was really interesting. So
yeah. I in that moment I wasn't even thinking about bluffing a daze. I was thinking that I look at that hand, I'm like, I'm gonna have to do combo twice unless I can like top deck something that's gonna like prevent the swords. But I was tapped out, so he just does it on my upkeep anyway, so it'd have to be in my hand already. I figure he's always gonna have a land advantage if he wants it. So he already had the Mox Diamond, because that was turn 1 Mox Diamond in a land. So he's already on 2 when I duress. And I duress turn 2 as well before I did the combo. So by then he's actually on 3. Yeah, I think it's probably just tough either way. Yeah. Of course, I think like games 1, 2, and 3, I comboed each game at least twice, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So like good on me, but also I feel like that's just how the matchup played out. I was surprised to get a game, honestly, in that matchup. I didn't feel great about it. That's why originally I had banned, like in the first time Jared and I played, I banned the Terrageddon deck, just because I felt it like matches pretty well. I wanted to open with the 5-color Sligh because I felt pretty good either way. I was kind of hoping to put 5-color Sligh against Terrageddon, but didn't work out that way. And then but I was happy. I kind of once it was Draco Blast versus 5-color Sligh, I felt pretty good there. Just because I kind of I can win that unless he gets like an erratic explosion for the win. But of course, unless except when you draw Draco twice. So
I mulliganed a bunch of those games. You got the Grim Lava Mancer down first, which was huge. In that matchup, you were able to put it down on turn 1 with things in the yard. So I was already in the back foot. And then game 2 is when I mulliganed twice and drew Draco in my opening 7 both those times, which was not fun. The second one was literally 4 lands, 2 Master Cores, and a Draco. I was like, this is the wrong deck. With this all artifacts playing mud all of a sudden. But yeah, it was fun. Either way, no matter how it shook out, it was fun to do. So
I guess like on paper, the way that the first 2 matchups lined up, I felt like Jared was at a slight advantage. Maybe I'm overestimating like the Draco against the 5-color Sligh, but I feel like James, you're a little bit slower than a normal Sligh deck, and you take a little more damage from your lands. That like just the combo can kill you pretty easily. It didn't come into play, but that was kind of what I was thinking. But and then with the Stiflenought and the Terrageddon definitely has a lot of tools to fight the combo. So
yeah, I mean the Terrageddon, I think we were counting post board. It has 10 tools, right? So that's just an uphill battle unless I can sneak one in quickly. The Draco Blast matchup I like because I can go tit for tat, and kind of the card advantage things like Hippie, where you can take advantage of me. I can go back. I also have a way to deal with Phyrexian Arena. I feel like game 1 being able to deal with Phyrexian Arena immediately saved the game, right? Otherwise, 3 or 4 turns
that
of
was
Phyrexian
huge.
Arena, it's card advantage that I can't surmount. But so when I saw a Seal of Cleansing my opening hand, regardless of which deck I'm playing, I'm very happy to see that. So yeah. Yeah, and then the third matchup, I don't love. Again, like Jared's very good at playing Goblins. Everyone says it. I know it. I had the bird spells I needed, right? And Lightning Angel down on turn 4 both games is just a huge win. I feel like when we played this matchup in the round robin, like Wasteland won that match. It just crushed me and sent me behind.
Yeah, it did.
So like I actually got to play the tempo version of the deck that it's like supposed to be. I think it's only the second time I've played it this tournament though, because I don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Goblins is probably pretty good against the Patriot, Star Spangled, War Angel, McFangel face, whatever. And it's just like because I have so much, like I actually can out card advantage with Ringleader and Matron and like Siege Gang and what have you. But I definitely stumbled on my lands in game 2 for sure, and then he just had like he said, he was able to play the tempo game in game 1. That was a big difference. He was ahead, and I couldn't.
Well, and apparently, Meddling Mage when you have 3 Ringleaders in hand is pretty good as well.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that was doing some work for sure. So yeah, I think that this was a blast. I always have fun doing this. I love watching it. I love being a part of it, and it's fun to the banning of decks and whatever it's just a good time. So I think it's just a fun, different way to play Magic, and it's been great.
Yeah, you did a great job, and up until the end, yeah. So it was well fought, and it's weird. I think I picked James to win at the beginning, but I felt like I was rooting for Jared like the entire time. I don't know. So sorry, James. I don't know if it's like an underdog thing or like I don't know. It's just like, but yeah. So it was well fought, Jared. But yeah, congratulations, James. You definitely played well, and I mean like consistent throughout all of the matches. Like I think like throughout the series, I can't think of situations where I question any of your decisions, and so. Definitely,
except for my taking the smother instead of the swords.
No, I didn't. I wasn't like a question.
To know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I was excited because I thought it was like a bluff. Like that was.
No,
I didn't think it was a mistake. But yeah, I don't know.
No, it was fun. I mean, this was my first time in the PSS, and it was awesome. Something to look forward to every week. Jared and I were talking though. It's like it is 3 months of thinking about 3 decks and like just a very specific meta. And I have also not played the monthly, so now I have no clue like what decks are good. So I have to like go back to the drawing board and like find some new decks. But yeah, it was a blast. Obviously, it was a great group of folks. I think everyone had a good time with one another as well. So that's like really important. And hopefully we weren't too boring to watch play Magic as well. But.
I didn't think it was boring. Like this is the type of Magic that I like the spiky stuff. I mean, like the PSS2 was fun, but I know by the end I was less into it than this. Like here, it's just exciting all the time for me. So I know different strokes for different folks, but yeah, I love all the matches of Magic. So
well, and to add to that too, like I kind of made the joke like this is interactive Magic when it was like you were 1-for-1 in each other, but these matches were all very interactive. There were some swings, like, and like going into the third match, I was literally like sitting here like this, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Like they were really fun to watch, and I think you guys did a nice job tonight playing in your games. And you know, Jared, it's sad that you came up a little short, but for what it's worth, I thought you played well, and
Thanks.
James, you certainly earned it, and you guys it was a hard fought battle tonight. So
It was fun.
we've had a
Definitely
great
good.
time.
Absolutely. Invite me back anytime. I love to play them. Yeah.
Well, James gets an auto invite
Yeah.
to the next one.
Yeah, James does get the auto invite. It's true. So
Oh
he
boy.
does get that honor.
3 more decks.
Are we going back to like spicy brews? Or
I don't know.
direction
That's what
do we know?
TBD.
we'll have to talk about.
First,
TBD.
it.
first a long break.
Yeah.
Yeah. First some rest
Yeah.
over the holidays.
Yes,
Right?
certainly. So
I'm already putting together my next decks. I'm like,
All right.
okay, finally taking these things apart. I'm like, let's go.
I mean, that's
So
what happens.
excited.
You have like a tournament or something that you're really excited to play Magic, and like it ends, and you're just like, I'm just ready to play more Magic. And so
Exactly what happens to me. Yeah.
yes. So
Cool.
all right, I don't see anything out of chat. So I mean, if
Come on, chat.
I get
What you got?
they're commenting about Flint's all the boxes behind him. They say it looks like he's at a retail store. They want you to open one.
Those are just Christmas presents for people.
Yeah.
So you've been
What
nice,
is
perhaps.
What is your shirt? Do you have a good shirt on right now? Is it just?
Oh.
Yeah, he does. I
It's a
was going to
Christmas
ask you to
sweater.
show it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a
Oh, wow.
Velociraptor.
Oh, it's got a dinosaur
Oh,
Velociraptor.
wait, is it T-Rex though? Is it? The
that's a
head the
T-Rex.
head looks like a Velociraptor, but the arms look like a T-Rex. So
Yeah.
um,
My go-to is a one from Christmas Vacation that says "Merry Christmas, Shitters Full," which is one of my favorite
yes.
quotes from that movie. And then my other one is just of a snowman with like a beer, and those are like my 2 go-to Christmas sweaters.
Very nice.
So
Well,
all right.
I guess that's probably a wrap then, guys. You're on the East Coast.
Who won the raffle?
it was
Did we
Mr.
know?
Mr. T Jones was the raffle winner.
Congrats to Mr. T. Jones.
Yep.
Thank you to our sponsor.
Mr. T. Jones. Yes.
Oh,
Cardsphere.
someone was
Cardsphere.com.
someone's cheering for a
Subscribe.
giveaway. They want Flint to give away your boxes.
Those are already spoken for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to rewrite the will if he gives any away. It's an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well,
All right.
good night. Thanks for running this. It was a blast as usual. So look
Thanks
forward to the next one.
Congratulations to both of you. Job well
congrats,
done.
guys.
Yep.
Thank you, Jared. Fun playing. Those are good matches.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, James.
All right.
Bye,
Have a good
guys.
night, folks. Thanks,
Hi,
Flint.
guys.
Mike.
Take care.
All right, so Flint and I are going to wrap things up for our Premodern Showdown Series 3 season. So I would like to thank our sponsor this season of Cardsphere. So if you're not familiar with their service, it's a website that you can buy, trade, and sell Magic the Gathering cards. It can use, instead of direct trading, like trading with one person, you can send your cards to one person, get credit, and then receive cards from another person. So it's a great way to, in essence, trade Magic cards that you don't need to do it just with one person. So it really opens up opportunities to get cards that you don't really use that others might want, and you can find cards that you do want. So a really cool service, and we want to thank them for their support. I do want to thank all the players for all their work, working with us in terms of scheduling and being very communicative in terms of just working us through our hiccups and whatnot. And then thanks to all the fans, especially the people that are able to make it live. I know there are a lot of people who do watch recordings of this, and we do appreciate that, but there's always a different feel when we have the people in the chat, and it's nice to keep things going with you guys. So I do want to thank you for your participation. It is appreciated. All right, Flint, who do you have to thank before we sign off tonight?
Oh man, I guess want to echo what you had said. Thanks to the players for devoting your time and for working around each other's schedules and being flexible when we needed you to be flexible. Thanks for all the banter in the group chat that we have. It's kind of the behind the scenes, but it's always fun to see folks speculating early on and then talking up their game a little bit, maybe even trying to play some mind games all the way up until the very end, even tonight. Really fun to see that and to see more of the community. thanks to you, Mike, for all the work that you do, the production side of things, and getting these videos recorded, and all the advertising that you do in the groups. And thanks to all of our viewers for watching. And it's crazy to think that we've done yet another one. Time really flew this time, but I think it's, the players are right. We get to relax a little bit, take a break. No word on when the next one will be, but I'm sure folks will be very happy to play in it when that time comes, and it's fun as always.
I guess I should plug their the European side had just announced the Epic. It is the European Premodern. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's similar to a Premodern Showdown series. So there will be more content. I think that is kicking off at the beginning of 2022. So if you would tune into Walk Walk MTG, that's Gordon Anderson's channel, I believe that will be hosting the Epic series. So if you enjoyed the Premodern Showdown series, then I would suggest checking that out, as that is something to maybe whet your appetite in the meantime. So
it looks like it's starting January 12th, Wednesdays at 7:30 CET, Central European Time, and it's the European Premodern Invitational Challenge.
There we go. Okay. So I guess I will take this time once again. Just thank you everybody for all the support that we have. I've really enjoyed doing this, and it makes it a lot better when I see that people are enjoying it as much as we are. So want to just thank everyone one more time, and signing off. Until next time, take care.
Happy holidays, everybody.